Hi guys, this is Poet and I'm here to do a color along for my Pirates for Poets. I am using spirit animals because I love that pirate girl in here and I wanted to do a demo with Supertips. So I told you guys before that I had purchased these and I wanted to try them out and see what they were all about. I did a swatch sheet and I put some masking tape around the bottom of each one and numbered it because they're not numbered and they don't have names. So I went ahead and did that. And then it was easier for me to go ahead and use. So then I also bought a case, which I'm not really showing here, but I did buy a case so I could put them all in it. And then it would be easier to just put them back in numerical order and I could go with it. So here's this fabulous Hanna Karlzon picture. I could also use this for JoJo's hashtag because she has a Hanna Karlzon hashtag going. Actually, she has two going on for the rest of the year. But you know, I love the pirates. I love me pirates. So, yeah. Now, I tried these Supertips with some other coloring books, so like your Amazon paper and some other ones with paper like that, and I didn't like them. I didn't like the fact that they were streaky. I didn't like I just didn't like them because they don't give that smooth coverage that alcohol markers do, and they soak into the paper too much. So I was like, I don't see what everybody's talking about. I don't like these things. But then I was like, let me try some of these books with this thicker paper. So I've been doing that and I absolutely love them on like the Japanese paper, the Korean book paper, this Hanna Karlzon type of paper. I love them and it allows me to color like I normally do with, my alcohol markers. So I thought that would be pretty fun to do. All right, so here we go. So we're going to do this with browns. So I took one of the lighter of the browns. And I'm just going to go ahead and do like my base coloring like I normally do. I do 3 color blends. Sometimes it goes to 4 or 5 depending on how many colors are there. But so the first thing I'm doing is just going ahead and lay down that base, that first layer of the Supertips in this lighter brown because I wanted to give it that leathery kind of look. So I'm just going to go around all the edges and stuff with this color. Now, you can see that there are some streaks, but because these areas are going to get colored multiple times, the streaks go away. And then what's left, I color in a way so that it works to create kind of a texture. So right there you can see where it kind of like overlaps and part of it is a little darker, and then you can still see the little lines. Here I'm trying to show you that it did not bleed through, but you can only see a little bit because I zoomed in so you can see the actual coloring. All right, I'm just going to do the same thing with the same color on the other side and just kind of outline the areas. What I also liked about these is they didn't bleed very much on these other papers. So you could get to the lines and, you get to a certain area and then the bleeding would just kind of take it over into, what am I trying to say? You know what I mean? Like if you don't go right up to the edge or to the edge of the line, the bleeding kind of like makes it go up to the next line. And that kind of helps your coloring. I also like that with these Supertips, it has the point. And then you could use the side, which is what I'm doing here, the side to make wider strokes. So it's also like the concept of, a chisel tip and a fine point or bullet point on a different type of marker. Now, I am not sure about the ink formulation in these. If they're the same as just regular Crayola markers, I don't know. But I am loving it on here. So I did the same thing with her little headband. We're going to make it this lighter brown. And I'm only doing like an outline because I actually want the headband to be a little lighter than the rest. So I'm using this lighter of the browns that I used on the vest to make some dark areas. But you'll see that I'm leaving the white / cream color so that I can add like a yellowish brown. So now I'm going with another color of brown and I'm going to go over it to make it darker around the edges and to give it some more depth. So you see here, I'm just going around that edge of that headband and with the darker brown, but I'm still leaving that lighter center because I want it yellowish brown. So now I'm coming down here and I'm going over the areas where I want it to be darker with this second brown, which is the same thing I would do with alcohol markers. And because I let it dry a little bit in between and didn't go right back over it, it holds up better, which I was like so thrilled with because I do not flat color. You know, we all have the things we like to do and don't like to do. I do not like to flat color. The only time I really do it is if the area is really tiny. And even then, I still tend to add more colors. So going back over and be able to do that with these super tips was fabulous. So now I'm just going over where it would be darker and using that second color. So anywhere that there were cast a shadow is going to be a little darker. So under these little lapel braided things would be darker. The bird is sitting on her shoulder, so underneath the bird is going to be darker. Between the branches, or well, actually it's its tail, I guess, that's going to be darker. Towards the bottom of the picture is going to be darker. So all those areas I'm going to put this darker brown. And then I was just so like excited and happy when I figured this out with this paper, is that I can go back and do another layer with the third darker brown. And for the most part with these, I was able to get at least 3 layers. And then sometimes, depending on the color of the marker that I was using, obviously the paper, and how much time I let it dry in between a little bit, then I could get maybe like 4 or 5 and sometimes 6 layers of color, which is awesome. Totally awesome. Love it. All right, so see here, you can see I went in with another darker brown. And I'm just going to go back over those same areas. And I just wanted you to note that, notice I did the left side first, and then I went to the right side. And then when I go to the next color, I go back to the left side, because what that does is give time for the piece that you just worked on to dry a little bit. Because if you go right back over it, that's when you tend to get the bleed through. And it also messes with your paper a little bit. Because these are water-based, so then you get that, you can get that kind of peely kind of feel. But it does have its uses though. It's kind of cool. And so here you can see I'm just making it darker. And you always, well, I do this anyway. Almost always I make the colors, you do a thinner band of that color. So I did a whole base of the lightest color. Then the middle color leaves a little space. And then the darker color leaves a little more space. Oh my goodness. So anyway, while I'm doing the same thing on the right hand side, I do have to say thank you for all the people who are participating in Pirates for Poet. It's getting to be a cute, fabulous hashtag board. So go check it out on Instagram and see what people have done. So cool. Love it. And you still have all of September to do Pirates for Poet. Pirates. Arg. Oh, and September 18th is Talk Like a Pirate Day. Arg. Which means I should probably watch Jack Sparrow and Davy Jones. Maybe I'll wear an eye patch to work and a parrot on my shoulder. I don't know, that would be so fun. So fun. What is your guys' favorite theme to color or to draw or whatnot? As I said, I like my pirates. Mm-hmm. And steampunk and gothic and, you know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so now I took another one of the browns, that lighter color that we started with, and I'm kind of going back over the whole thing. So now you'll notice there were some streaks, and now they're disappearing, which is lovely. It helps blend in all the colors so you get more of a smooth transition, and there is far less streaking. And it looks so much better. All right, now I'm doing the same thing with the headband. So now I'm looking for the lighter color that I want over there on the side. Because I do not necessarily plan out my colors, like pick every color I'm going to use. I just go along and try to decide, okay, what am I going to use here? So I have this lighter yellowish brown that we're going to use. And then so it makes that center a highlight. Now you could leave some of that cream paper, but I just went ahead and colored it off. But now, because I put the darker colors and left that light, when you go back over it with the lighter color, you still get that brightness in the center. Now we're going to take that same color and go around the trim. And then remember, anything that has a fold or it's going to be in front of something else is going to have a shadow on that edge. So that's what I'm going to come back in and do, give the areas a shadow. Now I wanted this necklace to have kind of like a gemstone ambery kind of look. So that's why I went with browns instead of some other color. It's just so fun, 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 fun. So now here I am taking that second color, and as you can see, just a little bit, there's no bleed through. There hasn't been any bleed through. And I'm just going here and kind of like brushing on this darker color in areas to give it a little texture. And then anywhere where it would normally be darker is going to be darker. So behind that fold, now I put it darker on the edge because it's kind of like under her hair and so forth. So that's why that's there. And it makes it a little rounder. Now we have to tackle this eye patch. I didn't want to do solid black, so we went with darker browns. And then I'm going to take another color that's darker and go around various areas. Now this is one of those things where you could have started with the darkest color. And in hindsight, I probably should have done that. It doesn't really matter as long as you control it. But if you started with the darker one, then you could do the same thing like I did with the headband and leave that like white space, and then you could fill it in. But I kind of wanted it to be dark, but just not black. And then I'm just adding some more shading in areas to make it darker. And if you wanted to give it kind of a shiny look, you could do that too by adding maybe a little bit of silvery color, a little bit of white, and then kind of blending it out a little bit. And that will make it look a little shiny. All right, here's what we have so far. So thanks for watching, and I will do a second video if you're interested. And see you guys later. Play along.